Hey, I hope it's going good for you out there. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for watching my videos. Thank you for liking my videos. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I very much appreciate it. We're going to see if we can get through this here. I've had a few mistakes, but we'll just do our best. So, and again, I do very much appreciate you watching my videos. I hope I can do something good for you this week as we go into it. So this last week was pretty hot, like I thought it would be, with so much going on with the moon and Mars. We've already talked about how the moon going into Gemini will be a Mars-ruled lunation there after the eclipse. I don't know if it's really a lunation. I think that's just the new and full moon, but definitely will be pretty hot the next few days too in that same way. I'm recording this on Thursday because I don't know if I'll have a good time to do it, and I like that the moon is pretty much opposing Mercury and in Mercury's hour right now, so it's about the best I can do. So bear with me. I'm a little lacking sleep. Venus is now in shadow, so those house topics are coming up for me. And I've been really changing, or I can tell how much my beliefs are going to be changing the next 2 years with the North Node in Taurus in my 9th whole sign house. So I'm already starting to see the pre kind of stuff of that, and I'm very excited to be learning more and hopefully be able to do better. We'll just continually grow in the way I understand things. The 9th house, of course, is about understanding beliefs and so on. So that's kind of what I have going on. I changed my tune a little bit about houses. I think that the whole sign house system is more to, well, it's the one that works. Or I have been looking at both on the charts, and I think that really works better for timing. Now, at least that's what I'm thinking now. But anyway, let's look at the week. And I'd like to thank God, who gives me wisdom, gives us wisdom that we need to understand these mysteries to the glory of His name. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. So I thank God. Really, let's see. So we come off this lunar eclipse and start Sunday with the sun going into Sagittarius while the moon goes into Cancer, pretty much. And in the beginning of the day, the moon is still in Gemini. The moon is it's trine to Jupiter, while Mercury sextiles Pluto. And of course, that means that, the moon was just in a sextile to Pluto, I think, the previous day. Or, no? Where's the moon Pluto contact? I don't see it. There should be one with the moon contacting Jupiter, but oh no, they're in conjunct, that's why. Anyway, so yeah, on Sunday morning there, probably waking up feeling a little bit drained with the moon squaring Neptune there, and Mercury sextiling Pluto. It's more of, Pluto situations I was looking at with the sun on Pluto, or sextiling Pluto this past week. It's like an uncomfortable situation, right? Generally with Pluto, and that was more like with like our personal energy and kind of what we revolve around, or like maybe figures that people revolve around, and the sort of uneasiness that can come with more high-profile situations for certain people, or just dealing with more high-profile people. So there might be news coming out about, billionaires or nuclear things that is more about that. We're just going to see that with the moon, with Mercury sextile Pluto there. But in the morning, probably feeling pretty nice in general. The moon is void, of course, all day. So the moon is in Gemini. The moon is still ruled by Mars, really. So, Mercury in Scorpio, doing things to the point, focusing on things, very much. So we've been, with this moon in Gemini, really hitting every single thing that we want to investigate. And I think having some opportunity to do that. But the good thing is that the moon is applying to Jupiter pretty much all night Saturday night. So that is kind of a good thing coming off of the eclipse, which I think is going to be pretty darn intense. So the moon goes into Cancer on Sunday night, and the sun goes into Sagittarius. So our personal energy and what we're kind of revolving ourselves around is now become more spiritual, more metaphysical, if you will. And nothing really happens after that. The moon is just in Cancer. The moon is more sensitive. The moon's not really aspecting any hard aspect. I mean, the moon will be applying to trine to Mars, but it's not seen by Saturn, so it's probably not really a bad time. Probably not. Nothing's really going on. Probably, if you have anything in your personal chart, that will be what's going on. But in the world, not too much is really coming about through Monday. So the moon is just in Taurus, sextile Uranus all day on Monday. Now the moon sextile to Uranus, probably feeling a little bit extra energized, a little anxious. Uranus can have this like anxious electric quality to it. It usually does. But the moon is also applying to Venus, which is visible in the sky. So we're really starting kind of feeling restless, or like the moon in Cancer is very sensitive, not quite like the moon in Taurus, which is like needing to be comfortable and like finding a place of comfort. But the sensitivity is kind of getting stirred up a little bit with that sextile to Uranus. And as the moon opposes Venus, let's see, when does that happen? Late Tuesday night, so kind of in the evening on Mondays, the moon is applying that opposition to Venus. We're wanting to find a system that works with like how we're feeling, and like can accommodate like our need to nurture ourselves in this more like emotional way. Taurus with the moon can be wanting to nourish ourselves like in a more practical way or a more physical way. But I think this is finding, like with Venus and Capricorn, is also practical, finding a system that will work for us, that will allow us to have this sensitive place. All right. And Venus and Mars are still pretty close to a sextile here. They haven't perfected that sextile yet, and they won't this week. I didn't even tell you what goes on this week yet. Sorry if I'm a little over the place. I'm a little sleep deprived today, but what goes on this week, the sun goes into Sagittarius, Mercury goes into Sagittarius, Mercury goes over the south node, and actually next week we have the Mercury Cazimi, which always seems to come up pretty quick, doesn't it? But so the Mercury will be passing through the heart of the sun and becoming a evening star, and not too long from now. We should also mention that the sun is now 15 degrees away from Mars as of this day, so Mars is visible in the sky now. And it's interesting that when that happens, Mars is in a trine to Neptune and to the moon. So the moon, as the moon goes into the later degrees of Cancer, is picking up on this Mars-Neptune trine, kind of coming off, a sense of like comfort or like ease that Venus can bring from her place in Capricorn to the moon, more towards this hot emotional scorpionic energy here with Mars. How does that play out? So it's Mars and then the moon to Neptune. Looks like Mars and Neptune don't actually trine this week. No, they don't. And the sun is on the south node here, so we're going to have the solar eclipse in Sagittarius. So overall, I think Tuesday, because the moon will be applying that trine to Mars pretty early, probably a day that feels really washed out, kind of like blank, empty of content in a large way, with the sun on the south node, the moon in trine to Neptune, which blurs things, washes things out, and the moon also opposing Pluto. So I think overall the whole day, we're kind of just like feeling out this eclipse energy that's going to continue playing out for the next week or so. 2 weeks, I guess. Yeah, and that's mostly Tuesday, just kind of a weird washed out day that kind of is uncomfortable. Like the moon in Cancer does not like opposing Pluto. The moon, Pluto was in Cancer in the 1910s when the First World War started. So the moon does not like that energy, right? It's not comfortable for people. Pluto is not really, Pluto isn't the people. Like when it shows up in the chart, Pluto isn't the people. It's when it shows up in the chart, it's really like people like billionaires or people that are just like kind of like obscured or like not really in the light so much, but they still exert a large influence, like a mass influence. And the people are like, the masses. So Pluto and the moon have that in common, which makes Moon-Pluto contacts very uncomfortable, because we're dealing with like the masses or the mass of power, I guess, or situations of empire, if you will, for many people, definitely. So we're kind of feeling all that out, even though nothing's really happening about it. It's just kind of uncomfortable on Tuesday. But I think if you want to get things done, the moon is making a trine to Mars, so it is a good time to do the work that you want to do. I don't really see why it wouldn't be. The Mars is always a malefic, but we are picking up on that drive, that desire to be, what's the word, executing. So Mars, Mercury, or Mars, Neptune, Moon grand trine. So the things that we are doing, and the things that things that we think we're doing, that we're telling ourselves that we're doing, aren't they're not what we think they are. So there's really no reason to push your actions along a certain line too much, because it's probably not going to, in retrospect, be what we thought it was. So definitely don't stress yourself out on Tuesday, because the moon is in Cancer. Moon's very sensitive, wanting to moon is also in its domicile, so strong enough against these other planets. So honestly, I think it can work out really well. Just be open to what you're doing not really being what you're doing, right? It not ultimately ending up like that, or not, in retrospect, what you thought you were doing or why you were doing it probably will be revealed to have been based on something not factual. So be open to that. So it's just like kind of don't push it. Like Pluto doesn't really respond well to pushing. It's like, if you are, anyway, we're gonna move on. On to Wednesday, though, the Mercury is going to move into Sagittarius. So we could talk about on Tuesday the Mercury is also in the 29th degree, in the anaretic degree of Scorpio. So things that are affected by that, well, the North Node. The North Node is in Gemini, so the Mercury being in the anaretic degree, so close to the Sun. I don't know what to say about that. It's just gonna feel weird. I mean, it's more of the same eclipse stuff, but yeah, I don't really know how to delineate what that'll be like, but I am interested because Mercury does rule the North Node right there, and the North Node is about to transit into Taurus. All right, so but Mercury goes into Sagittarius. The moon goes into Leo right after that. So we have a pretty dynamic shift of gears here. The moon makes a trine to Mercury in Sagittarius immediately and makes a sextile to the North and the South Node, and a trine to the South Node, and makes a trine to the Sun throughout the earlier part of the day before the late afternoon. So what does that look like on the chart? That's very interesting. You know, Mercury in the anaretic degree, the moon in the later degree. So, you know, in the very early morning, I think, what is this day? Is this Wednesday? Yep. In the very early morning, probably kind of intense. Probably like, because the moon is just come off of that opposition to Pluto, right? So, you know, the moon is either void, of course, off of Mars or off of Pluto, depending on how you like it. But, you know, so probably pretty darn intense if the moon is like carrying, you know, the Pluto isn't visible, so I mean, does the moon really translate the light of Pluto or the outer planets? I don't know. Maybe it does. But if it didn't, you know, the moon trine Mars would be the last aspect the moon made to, you know, a light, and would be carrying that throughout Tuesday. So kind of like just chugging through it, I guess, in a large way, you know, even though it's not building, it's just kind of, you know, the only light the moon has. So the moon's like carrying this Mars light through all this weird stuff here on Tuesday. But, you know, in the morning on Wednesday, probably that feels really critical, or we're like really hyper focusing on something briefly, but then that breaks ahead and, you know, it moves into the fire signs, which are, you know, probably going to feel very fresh, especially if you have a lot of that energy in your chart. You know, Mercury is in fall in Sagittarius, so, right, fall, I think, and the moon is, you know, I don't know how the moon feels about Leo. I think it's peregrine. It's not one way or the other, really. So the moon is fine, doing fine. The sun is past the South Node, which is good for the sun. But how far is it past? Probably like 3 degrees. So, I mean, we're still kind of at 1 degree. So we're really feeling the eclipse energy pretty strong right here with the moon aligning to the sun and the South Node and the North Node. So this is bearing witness to, or bringing light to what happened with the eclipse there, the lunar eclipse. So, and especially I think what happens on Tuesday night also does too, because the moon will be, you know, pretty much sextile to that eclipse degree, while they're void of course and sextile, you know, trining Mercury out of sign, who's also in the anaretic degree. So probably super intense, like we keep saying, but the moon in Leo, probably pretty nice, honestly. It's like at least like kind of relieving in the beginning of the day. But as we get into the later parts of the day, the moon will oppose Saturn, or start to oppose Saturn, which is exact on Thursday morning. So the moon in Leo wants to do things in a more uh, characteristically bold fashion, in a characteristically real way. And that's how the moon in Leo would say it too, just like doing, really just embracing the way it is, and trying to find some joy in that. So I really do like Wednesday for that, for us. But on Thursday, the moon is coming off of that opposition to Saturn, and the moon is on the south node. And the moon makes a square to Uranus and is applying a square to Mars all day. So if we're talking about visible planets, the moon opposes Saturn and then squares Mars throughout the day. So the moon is in a what they call a malefic enclosure, or besiege. We'll call it a malefic enclosure. We'll call besiege something else. But Mercury on the south node. Mercury is getting purged out of these things. Mercury will be Kazemi pretty much on the solar eclipse, or just Mercury will be moving just past that point during the solar eclipse. But how does it feel? I mean, throughout probably the whole day, Mercury themes. What is Mercury doing? Just in Sagittarius on the south node. Mercury's houses aren't really doing much with any planets, but those things that were signified by Mercury will be draining out. So before this, we had this moment where we could really tap into this first degree of Mercury in Sag, or Mercury in Sag is telling us something about this first degree of Sag. That's really the essence of what this eclipse will be about. I think we can really get the message about that this morning. But let's keep going with Thursday. Thursday is definitely a more difficult day. Definitely just not very pleasant day. The moon is in Leo, squaring Mars in its domicile. So Mars is in this, he's got superior dignity to the moon here. And the sun is pretty much on the south node. So, really kind of feeling bogged down by the Mars energy, I feel like, if that's a thing with you, or, if you are probably a night chart, that's the Mars is going to be probably this square time, this time with the Mars square will probably be a time where you can really take action and get it done and get out there. But for the day chart, people probably just pretty annoying. So on Friday, the moon opposes Jupiter in the morning before it goes void of course. So the moon is still in Leo, opposing Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter in Aquarius is organizing, or I've been thinking about Jupiter in Aquarius, those people that have been at the job too long, and they've absorbed the corporate propaganda, and they've accepted it on too deep of a level to really escape. It's kind of how I feel like Jupiter is in Aquarius right now. Jupiter has been in Saturn's sign so long, it's kind of hard to see the abundance that's right around the corner in a real way. With Jupiter in Pisces having a much more expanded sense of hope and gratitude with people in general, and just as kind of an abiding principle when Jupiter enters Pisces. But with Jupiter in Aquarius still, Jupiter's been drinking the Saturn juice, you know what I mean? So this is it's not fun to me. We didn't really talk about Uranus there, but there's a drive to really do something differently here. The moon is having half of its light now, it's waning, or just do something different than this Saturn thing here. But we do have to integrate ourselves into that again in a way. And Jupiter is not Jupiter is the good supervisor that you have. at the factory who like works for the man, but like he's just a guy, like a good guy, but like he's just like drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, you know. But he's not trying to hurt you there. So I mean we're definitely able to, um, you know, do like be there, like show up on time, like do your thing, but like we're definitely able to express ourselves in a bit of an easier way. I mean, I've been thinking about Jupiter in general, like just like be grateful, like for what you have, because it'll pay dividends like soon. You know what I mean? If you're like grateful now and you start, actually thanking God for what you have. Thank God. Praise God, man. Praise Jah, who rideth upon the clouds. Amen. So, on Friday, like, the moon is void of course off of Jupiter. It's just hanging out in Leo until it goes into Virgo. And immediately squares the north and the south node. So, I mean, there's a sense of, like, we move from this, like, more bold way of, like, just, kind of, like, breaking through the situation in a real dynamic way, in, like, in, like, a really fixed environment. That's kind of jibber jabber, but the moon will go into Virgo and make these square to the nodes. So, I mean, there's, like, a sense of, like, anxiety or, like, wanting to be very organized in the face of what is coming out around these eclipses, So, like, really, like, taking account or listing or making a list or, writing down, a plan of action. Probably something people be, like, kind of, like, anxious about, but I don't know if we really, like, do that. So it just kind of, like, feels weird on Friday night. Mercury is in Sagittarius with the Sun, about to be Kazemi of the Sun. So we have this Mercury moment here on Saturday morning that really I think will be probably kind of important, but I mean it is in the middle of the night. The moon is square the sun, so it's the last quarter square of the sun, and the moon will be trining Uranus and making, applying a very wide trine to Venus in Capricorn. So I do like that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves there. Let's talk about Saturday. The moon in Virgo wants to do things a certain way, because that's what you have, that's what you have. So, do things a certain way in a way that's like inventive, that's going to get all the details that you need, because later on in this Virgo moon, the moon will be opposing Neptune, so I mean, it's going to be more confusing about what you actually need in terms of like detailed things. And there's kind of like a critical moment here because the moon is square to Mercury, the ruler of Virgo. So there's this insight that's building up. Mercury is in fall in Sagittarius, so Mercury doesn't really work that well there. It's too big. But, the moon will be on top of the sun and Mercury there. So, I mean, we're using our ideas in a more philosophical way. We're, like, philosophizing with our communications. So, I mean, in terms of, like, that ruling the moon, we're, like, going really big with, like, these detailed things, which is, like, what? That doesn't really work very well. So, I mean, actually, like, if you wanted to be bold and make a list before you get to the Virgo moon, because with Mercury and Scorpio, it might be very more easy to like fixate on the specific things that you want to achieve before like things kind of get like out of hand with Mercury, which they will here. All right, let's keep it moving. So pretty much Saturday, the moon is applying to Venus all day. So I mean, I like that. I mean, you can't really see it on the chart too much, but I mean, that is the next aspect, and it's in the same sign. I definitely think there is like a sense that like Venus is like making things easier in that regard towards like doing things in detail or having a Capricorn is more like having a plan or a system, but Virgo is like having like the editorial knack, right? Or like having the knack for doing the organizing or so on. You ever been to a Virgo's place and they have like all their freaking cabinets and like file folders and everything, and it's all like, it's all that way so that it can like organize the chaos, right? That otherwise would come about. So I mean, that's what we're on about here, but it's kind of confusing with the moon also opposing Neptune. But I do think it's a pretty pleasant time overall, if you can believe that. Okay, so as we get into, I guess we're going to talk about Sunday. Oh, we'll save Sunday for next week. But, Sunday, like we said, pretty much just these outer planet things. The moon connects to Venus, Mars, and we have the Mercury Cazimi. So, I mean, I'll be back with the Mercury Cazimi video. Next week we also have Mars trine Neptune, Venus sextile Neptune, Mercury sextile Saturn. So, I mean, definitely not as crazy as the past couple of weeks. Like, the intensity is really already past for the most part, except for the eclipses. But I hope the eclipse goes well for you. Yeah, I just wanted to get this done before the eclipse. I don't really want to be doing this in the aftermath of the eclipse. Maybe not. I might do something different, make another video, but this is, pretty good, I think. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you and what you do, and I appreciate you for watching my videos. So I pray that you will believe in God with me this week. Pray to God to get wisdom from Him, divine wisdom that you can understand. See, the thing is about, people that don't have divine wisdom can't understand astrology. They can. But, there are searching things beyond astrology, that are with God, that, have relevance to the astrology, but also to deeper things. And that's really what I'd like for you. I'd like for you to get wisdom that you can to understand deep things of God. So I thank you, and I'll be seeing you later. I appreciate you watching my video. God bless you. Peace.